but I'm going to hand over to my guests to tell them a little bit about themselves. So Blaze, do you want to kick us off?
Hello. I am a label manager within the Mushroom Group. I look after 3 record labels, including IAU, Soothsayer, and a new label that we launched about 12 months ago called Hundreds and Thousands.
I'm a sound engineer. I work mostly in live sound on a freelance basis. Also work at Bakehouse Studios and am now on the board of Listen, which you might know about.
My name is Michelle Grace Hunter and I'm a music photographer. I've been working predominantly in the music scene for about 8 years. I'm probably most well known for my 2 major projects. One was on the Australian hip hop scene, was a book called Rise, and my latest project, which is called Her Sound, Her Story, which is a music documentary and photo series on women in music across all genres.
A common thread here is, I guess, volunteering and building up a portfolio and internships and that sort of thing. Yep. What sort of value do you find out of volunteering?
Yeah, I mean, I was just nodding the whole way through because that's like been not only my experience just now, but my whole life is just volunteering and saying yes to everything and just taking every opportunity and just working your ass off because there's absolutely no shortcuts. Mm-hmm. Like you really, like every person that you meet in the music industry that has worked their ass off and usually started doing a lot of stuff for free. I probably shot 200 gigs before I got paid. I went to every show for about 2 years and just made myself known. And I guess I mentor a lot of kids now, and I probably get an email a week asking, how do you make it as a photographer in the music industry? I'm like, go and shoot as many gigs as you can find. People will have you. There's no shortcuts and there's no quick way of getting known in an industry that is completely saturated. So you've got to make your mark somehow, and it's hard work. So yeah.
Definitely. A lot of this conversation is played out by social media, and I wanted to highlight a particular Instagram account which popped up just recently, the Lineups Without Mail.
It's such a funny account.
So I guess
it's probably one of my favourite accounts to follow. It's so funny.
So we've talked about, like, I guess, behind the scenes and that type of thing, but why is it so important to have representation of women on festival lineups?
Okay, I'm really passionate about this.
This
is probably one of the main things that came out of the documentary is that the underrepresentation on lineups and I think blatant disregard from festivals up to this point, and I get really frustrated every time there's a new lineup. And people are speaking about this, and you get the same excuses from festivals every time. I think this right now in Australian music, if you can't find the incredible array of women that are performing and absolutely killing it, if you are saying that they're not available, you can't find any, you are absolutely not looking hard enough. And I firmly believe that. So anytime I hear from Falls Festival or there's another lineup and it's like 20 out of 100 and something are women, I just think it's an absolute cop-out, and I feel like they have a real big duty to start looking harder, because that representation is so important for young women to come through and actually even understand that it's a possibility to get at a festival and then on the main stage.
Yeah. Even a lot of the work that I do is with female musicians, and they're always like, God, oh, thank you for being so nice. I'm legitimately just doing my job. The fact that I didn't tell you how to use your guitar is sort of just
I'm just going to assume that you can do that and I can do this.
Female musicians just had those sort of people to deal with instead. It would just be a much nicer and more accessible sort of experience for them.
Just be a nice person. One of the questions we asked in the documentary was to all of the women was, have you ever had just a negative experience where you felt like that was only happening to you because you were a woman?
Did anyone say no?
I would say 99% of the women said that their most negative experiences were with sound engineers. And it was like across the board, and they were male sound engineers. But and I'm talking like Missy Higgins had these experiences. Like even really well-known women, like established artists, would have sound engineers tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. no, it's not you're not hearing feedback. No, I don't know where to plug or something. It's like there was such a negative experience and they felt patronised, and just
Especially
because
if
they
you're
were
just
female.
about to get on stage.
Yeah.
And stuff as well, it's just-
Or just, you know, if there was a woman fronting a band, for example, that they were assumed that they were a girlfriend, or they would talk down to. Like, the experience was just so overwhelmingly common that we actually kind of ended up nearly making a joke out of it, because it was just so, yeah. So that's obviously an area that does really need to change. So
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my most negative experiences was with a sound engineer who was actually female.
Oh, wow.
About 6 or 7 years ago, and you know, she was quite a lot older than me, and I guess that had been her experience up until this point. But I think I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt and red lipstick, and she basically said, if you want to be taken seriously in the music industry, you can't dress like that. Really, yeah. Seeing the change though, you know, over the last few years, it's like, you know, obviously it's a workspace, you have to dress appropriately, but within that sphere, it's like, wear whatever you want, just be a nice person, be good at your job, be professional. Yeah, but it's nice to see, you know, someone like you, Bonnie, and see such a huge contrast. Like, she was quite a bit older. It makes me feel really positive about, obviously we have a huge way to go, but where we are now compared to where we were when that comment was made to me 6 or 7 years ago.
I think that's really important too, to actually celebrate the small steps as well. Like, sometimes it can feel like you're hitting your head against a brick wall and we're not getting anywhere, but we actually are definitely getting somewhere. It's happening all the time, and it's every year is a little bit more positive. So it's definitely not all doom and gloom, and don't think that it's like really terrible or anything like that. There's like such amazing positive things happening.